In this video, I'd like to talk a little bit about the concept of a mole. The mole is usually used in chemistry, of course, but it is defined as a number. One mole is equal to 6.02, or sometimes people will go 6.022 times 10 to the 23rd of something. Now let me start with something that perhaps is a little more relatable to you, and then we can build on that. If I said to you I have a dozen of something, you know that means I have 12 of that something. So if I said to you I have a dozen cars, for example, you know that means I have 12 cars. That's the number that represents. If I said to you, how many tires do I have with that dozen cars, assuming each car has 4, I'm not counting the spare or anything like that, you would say I have 48 tires. If I said to you, how many dozen tires do I have, you would say I have 4 dozen tires. Okay. Now, the reason I'm using this as an illustration is because when we talk about mole, we oftentimes will talk about a mole of molecules. Each molecule is made of several atoms. And so I can talk about the number of atoms I have, I can talk about the number of moles of atoms I have within the molecule, but it's all very, very similar to, what I illustrated here, in that it's just a number. It's a number of things. So let me go to some chemistry problems and actually show you how some of these might look if you're working through them. So in question number 1, it says how many atoms of carbon are in 5 molecules of propane. So we're dealing with individual molecules. Each molecule of propane is C3H8, so it has 3 carbons. So if I have 3 carbons per molecule and I have 5 molecules, I simply take 3 times 5 and you would say you have 15 atoms of carbon. Now, and again this kind of goes back to that tire analogy, how many moles of carbon are in 5 moles of propane? Okay, so now now we have to think this through a little bit. If you have 5 moles of propane and each mole of propane has 3 carbons, then you would have 15 moles of carbon. So again, 5 moles of propane, each one has 3 carbons, so then I would have 15 moles of the propane. Look at this next one. What's the mass in grams of 1 mole of sodium atoms? And again, that's just asking for the molar mass. And again, you could look on your table, that'd be 23.0. If I said to you, let me think here, how many atoms of hydrogen are in 5 moles? So I'm kind of deviating from the question here a little bit, but let's just talk through this. How many atoms of hydrogen, so I'm dealing with my propane here, how many atoms of hydrogen are in 5 moles of propane? Well, if I have 5 moles of propane, each mole is 6.02, let me put parentheses around that, 6.02 or 22 times 10 to the 23rd. So this would give you the number of molecules, and each one of those has 8 hydrogens in it. So again, if you just think this through a little bit, I have 5 moles of propane, each one has 8 hydrogens. How many atoms do I have of hydrogen? And again, I just multiply these numbers together because a mole is 6.02 times 10 to the 23rd. I have 5 moles. Each one of them has 8 hydrogens. You do your math, and I believe that comes out to 2.408 times 10 to the 25th atoms. Okay. So again, I'm just trying to give you a feel for how this relates. If you have a mole of something and you have individual atoms within that mole, you have to multiply these things to figure out the exact numbers of the different atoms that you have. I hope that helps a little bit in terms of just getting the idea of the mole concept. The best way to do this, though, is to go through and answer some questions like you see on the screen and think it through. And as you think through that process, I think it'll make some sense to you.